G'day there guys, how's it going? Markee here, back at it again with another episode of r/legal advice. Now if you're feeling in the mood for some bloody good legal advice, I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy this bloody good content. Posted by user Zamshi, titled, Arizona. I'm in a situation where I can lose my son because the mother is mentally unstable. Hello. My girlfriend, now ex as of yesterday, had my son in April of 2020. I did not sign the birth certificate since she cheated on me multiple times during our relationship. I told her I would sign it once we get a test done. We got one done, and it turns out I am the father. It is not a legal document due to third party not doing a test and submitting it as illegal test results. Recently, our relationship has taken a turn. She cheated on me again, and for the last time. During our relationship, she has shown a lot of signs of being unstable. She has been arrested multiple times due to setting a bathroom on fire in middle school to getting into fights with her family. A couple days after our son was born, she decided to take it upon herself to move out of my parents' house, taking our son, moving in with a friend. I told her if she moves out, she will break us up. She threw a huge fit and said she might hurt the baby and herself. I purposefully looked away because I figured she was just stressed from the baby, our breakup, and hormones. We broke up, but decided to try ourselves out again. This was only a month into our new relationship, and she cheats on me again. I break up with her, she throws another guilting fit, and threatens that she feels bad thoughts again, and feels like she will hurt herself or the baby. I am at my end with her. Her family, my family, and some of our friends are aware of this, and see her as an unfit to parent. They are telling me to call CPS, but what would CPS do? I legally cannot take the baby since I am not acknowledged as the legal father. What do I do? Thank you. Call CPS. Someone is threatening to hurt an infant. They should not be left alone with the infant. Keep records of all threats. If she is threatening to hurt herself, have police do a wellness check. Keep all records of conversations. Call CPS now. You must first make sure your child is protected. If he is removed, make yourself known to the agency, explaining your status as bio dad but not on the birth certificate. Even when children are removed for emergency issues, they will want to see what family could be the one to take the child instead of foster care. As the father, you should be where that starts. It sounds as though you need to sort out how to get a binding, acknowledged paternity test and declare yourself as dad, whatever that might entail. To update, 4 hours ago I called CPS and the police for a wellness check. I have yet to hear back from the police. They said they would call me after the check. A little worried. Update, Arizona. I am losing my son because of unstable ex-girlfriend. This is an update to my situation. Our sheriff did a welfare check on the home my ex-girlfriend is staying at, and he found nothing that would demonstrate that she is unstable. Despite me having proof, the sheriff who took my case disregarded it due to this text's being old. I have a number of people supporting my case. The people who she is staying with told the officer that they are not aware of her reckless behavior despite her attempting to leave their home and walking to literally who knows where in 105-degree weather. I can't help but feel like I've been cheated. I feel that the baby is unsafe with her, but I cannot do anything about it because I am not on the birth certificate. I am just a man who could be the potential father. Posted by user Bamith, titled, My grandmother got admitted to the hospital by my aunt without my mother's permission. Due to the pandemic, nobody can see her, and currently she is not allowed to leave. She gets very paranoid when alone at a hospital. They currently have her tied down. She is 96 years old. Don't post anywhere often. This is happening in United States, Mississippi. So, my aunt was supposed to take my grandmother to the doctor to get her legs checked. Her doctor is close to a black community, and my aunt is a bit of a racist tramp. So she cancelled that appointment herself. She had no right to do that, took my grandmother to the emergency room. Also no right to do that, and then left her there, giving them my mother's number to contact instead of her own. It has been multiple days since that happened, and my grandmother's mental condition has drastically worsened without anyone she knows around her. Can't visit due to the pandemic. She has refused to take her medicine, eat, or anything else, and has been trying to fight staff so she can get her dry tobacco. Yes, she has done tobacco for 70 plus years and still manages to be in great physical condition. As of today, my mother has told me they have tied her down and put a tube in her down her throat to force her to take medicine and eat. Again, 96 years old. Repeated calls to the hospital over the last few days have not yielded any results, and we have not even been able to speak with her. To say in the most moderate way possible, this has likely completely screwed up my grandmother, and has also screwed up my mother as well, as she has been crying hysterically over how much her mother must hate her now. I have been consoling her. Currently, tomorrow morning, we are set to go to the hospital to try and get her out, since her husband knows some people there. My aunt will be getting her arm twisted to get her to come as well to sort this mess out. Mother is currently extremely ticked off and considering to sue the hospital. Does anyone in your family have a medical power of attorney for your grandmother? If not, the hospital is not even going to discuss her care with you. Most questions I might have to answer in the morning when we go to the hospital. It's been a long day and I didn't know if I would have time to type this later. So most things I would have to ask my mother, since she has dealt with this longer than I have. That said, I would guess it is my mother who has that. I remember her very specifically saying that my aunt doesn't have anything like that. Her task was to simply take my grandmother to the doctor to get checked, since everyone else was working. Hospitals do not just admit healthy people for no reason, especially not during a pandemic. I think you are not getting the full story here about your grandmother's health. Multiple things come up. These are things to consider. Who is the power of attorney for her? If you don't have one specified for formal paperwork for this, it muddies up the water and hospitals often defer back to whoever is listed as next of kin in their system. To correct this, you would need to have a court hearing to establish POA for her. The hospital will shield any information from you if you are not POA or have the means to prove that you know about her medical information. Being family doesn't change anything. Many families refuse information to some members. Next, pandemic. Many hospitals are not allowing visitors regardless of the situation. Often make an exception for patients actively dying. You should clarify with the hospital before arriving to ensure that you aren't ushered off the property with security. My hospital is currently restricting visitors to none. You show up without prior authorization to, escorted off the premises by hospital police. Not all hospitals are restricting visitors, but many are. Check with the hospital to see what the protocol is. Next, taking her out of the facility. It would be going against the medical advice. You are essentially taking 100% responsibility for her care and outcome from the decision. Hospitals don't admit healthy people as one specified. A tube down the throat to provide substance is not uncommon. Tied to the bed, she's combative. She's probably delirious, and I can tell you now, as a healthcare provider, she will be delirious at home for a few days. Get yourself ready, she's highly likely to fight family members and get out of bed, potentially falling. But as I said, you decided to take her out against medical advice, so ultimately that's on you. Just some food for thought. Update. My grandmother got admitted to the hospital by my aunt without my mother's permission. Due to the pandemic, nobody can see her and currently she's not allowed to leave. She gets very paranoid when alone at the hospital. They currently have her tied down. She's 96 years old. Update. So, my aunt will not come to the hospital with my mother. My grandmother believes my mother is the one who put her there and has said she hates her. She does not want to go anywhere with anyone who would do this to her, she said. Because of that, they aren't allowing us to take her home. My mother in her grief signed papers taking full responsibility for this so she could get her home. They still would not allow it and her mental health is degrading further. To put in context, whenever she is in hospital for extended periods of time, especially alone, she believes someone has locked her away in an insane asylum and doesn't want to be there. Only happens at hospitals, nowhere else. Posted by user Garden Guard, titled, "Neighbor is purposefully trying to catch COVID from me by chasing me down every time I go to my yard, Ontario. Why is the weirdest shit always in Ontario? I was exposed to COVID-19 a few days ago and have been self-isolating since then. The health unit said I could still go in my yard to garden. A neighbor saw me outside and started talking from a distance. asking to borrow one of my garden tools, and I told her that it wasn't a good idea because I was exposed to COVID, and she started walking towards me, saying she wants to catch it and get it over with so she'll be immune. I dropped everything and ran inside, because I don't want to infect her, and watched from the window as she licked my tools. I'm not kidding. I sanitized them when I went to go get them. She's started running out toward me every time I go to water my garden. It's happened 4 times in a row now, and I don't know if I'll be held responsible if she catches it. I also know she has a toddler, and I think her parents come visit still sometimes. If it matters at all, I don't actually know if I have it. They won't test me unless I have symptoms, but I don't have symptoms. But my roommate had it, and I have to self-isolate 2 weeks from his last day of having it. Is there anything I can do about this? The only thing I can think of is have her trespassed, but she obviously won't listen to it. Call the police and let them know, and ask them to give her a warning about trespassing. If she keeps it up, having been warned will make it much easier for your local police to charge her with trespassing and possible harassment. If you reasonably fear she might make violent contact with you, that includes unwanted hugs. If any of you hug me and I don't want it, that's violent contact and I will sue you. They said they'd talk to her, and it's best if I just stay inside just in case. I contacted a sane neighbor, and he said he'd water my garden for me. He doesn't have COVID, but he's laid off right now. He also suggested I call CPS because she's putting her toddler in danger. Should I just in case? That might scare her into stopping. You can speak to your children's aid or your province equivalent. Yeah. Someone's mother is trying to catch COVID-19 on purpose, and I'm worried it'll put their kid in danger. Maybe a low priority call, so don't pin your hopes on this, but you never know. I'm gonna call them. My other neighbor gave me the woman's name, so now they have more than just an address to use. Unrelated to my post, but I'm going to ask because you seem to know your stuff. If I plant something toxic to cats and a neighborhood cat eats it and gets sick, am I responsible? I use stuff to try to keep them away, but just in case it doesn't work, I wanted to know. Generally no, but it can depend on circumstance. A lot of it comes down to intent or negligence. Planting a rhododendron where your garden normally is would be reasonable and normal, and generally wouldn't create any additional liability if someone else's pet snacks on it and gets sick. However, planting a fringe of narcissus, flowers, or pothos or similar, precisely and only where you see your neighbor's cats going, would probably show some intent to harm the cat, and could create civil liability for the vet bills if the cat inevitably eats some of it. You may also want to check up on municipal bylaws regarding yard maintenance and plants. Most cities don't regulate to this level, but there are a few that do. Rue and lavender are fairly common plants that cats will generally avoid. That might be a better choice. I think I'm in the clear because I planted it, and then the cat showed up for the first time since February, but I'll plant some lavender around that particular plant to try to keep them away. Thanks for all your help. I have quite a few cats in a very large yard. I have all kinds of seriously deadly things planted. Monkhood, nightshade, belladonna, etc. And don't worry about the cats. Unless it's growing around something like catmint or catnip that cats will roll in or rub against, the cats are smart enough to ignore it. I've never heard of catmint before, so thanks for teaching me something new today. When dealing with the police, it might help to point out that her actions aren't just annoying, they are putting you at risk. She has been trying to catch COVID, probably from other places as well, so she is at high risk of having it. Now she is trying to get close enough to you to catch it, which puts you close enough to catch it from her. And also licking my tools, which I have a video of. Yes, I think so. That fact that she is willing to potentially be hospitalized for weeks and weeks and weeks, and maybe even die, shows that she's too unhinged to take care of her daughter. The part that's not helping is that my roommate had it, and it barely affected him, like he had a mild fever and his sense of taste dulled, but otherwise he was fine. So she's seeing that and thinking it'll be the same for her when it can be different from person to person. No one knows why it affects people differently, so she's an idiot, mentally ill, or both. COVID-19 has killed healthy 25-year-olds and let 75-year-olds with cancer walk out of the hospital. The majority odds that she won't be seriously harmed, so it's not insane to think that. However, the odds aren't 1 in a million of harm, it's more like 1 in 100 or 1 in 10. No one knows. I'm genuinely surprised my roommate didn't have it worse. Like, I fully expected it to land him in the hospital. Because of lack of testing, we really don't know who gets the mild version. One persuasive study I saw had 40% no symptoms or barely even recognizable as an illness, 40% noticeable symptoms, unpleasant, but recovers at home, 15% serious symptoms, requires hospitalization, a quarter of this group dies, 5% serious symptoms progressing to ARDS or multiple organ failure. Half of this group dies. He was in the first group. He had a mild fever and slightly dulled taste. I just expected him to end up in the hospital because his diet is so incredibly crappy and he constantly vapes. Like, 5 Alive is the only thing keeping him from getting scurvy. Hi OP. I don't know where you are in Ontario, but you can definitely report this person for not adhering to the physical distancing bylaws. If you're in Toronto, you can report non-compliance on toronto.ca. If you're not in Toronto, try to see if there's any info in your local government site to let you know how to report it, or you can call 311. I saw the number on the health unit site, but I was afraid I'd get in trouble if she got it from me. But I'll call. You're not intentionally trying to infect her. You're actively trying to prevent her from possibly catching it. I don't see a way you could get in trouble for trying to get crazy to stop. Report her ass to the police today. If she doesn't catch COVID-19, something else will certainly kill her, like the bacteria from licking fudging garden tools. To be fair, they were brand new when she did that. Like, I bought them and hadn't used them yet. Update to neighbor purposefully trying to catch COVID-19, Ontario. So I hadn't heard anything from the neighbor until this morning when her husband stuck something in my mailbox. So I talked to him through the window. He told me that he was contacted about her behavior while he was quarantined somewhere else because he was exposed to the virus and he got the health unit to make an exception to the no symptoms test, no test rule in the interest of the health of his wife and kids. The test came back negative 2 days later, so he went home to help her. She did have a mental breakdown. He didn't go into detail about it, but apparently she hadn't been handling the pandemic well and him being quarantined somewhere else made it worse. He asked me to delete the video because she saw me take it, and I did. I told him I understand that this has been very hard on people, and I had no hard feelings. He said he's going to look into counseling for her, and it turns out they go to the same clinic as me, so I recommended the counselor I use. Counseling is basically the same as therapy here. He had stuck an apology letter from her in the mailbox with a garden center gift card. I'm deleting this account so there won't be any replies from me, this time in Best of Legal Advice. Stay safe, everyone.
G'day there guys, Outro Markee here. Hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it today. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about it down below. Also, if you like memes, be sure to head on over to my second channel, Markee 2. It should be one of the sexy Australian faces on screen, the one without the flag. It's my latest and greatest creation, and I hope you like it. Also, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my channel members and Patreon subscribers. You guys do so much good for me, and the support goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I love you guys, and I appreciate all the help and support you provide me on this channel. Also, if you want to join the family, links are down in the description below, or click that join button next to the subscribe button. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that one today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.